What is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. I want to go over some of the data points, break it down on what really moved it, and some key levels that investors need to watch for. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi went down 3.13%, 1735 the low, 1848 the high. You did see a lot of volume, so 93 million shares being traded, 68 is the average. So today was kind of a comical day, but resulted in more of a rotation starting to occur in the broader market. But you did see a nice push higher up until Powell, and even then post Powell you kind of still had some optimism, but ultimately Powell did mention, and kind of what he's always been stating, that the economy is strong, we're going to continue to monitor the data and blah blah blah, and if necessary we're going to cut rates. So that's what caused a little bit more of a pullback first thing as per usual. But 30 minutes later, we did have some good data, two good pieces of data in fact. So we had manufacturing data and also jolt numbers, both better than anticipated. So it's kind of comical how it all played out. So you had Powell at 8:30 ultimately saying, hey, economy is strong. Given that circumstance and the strength of the economy, we don't need to cut rates. And then we follow that with two good pieces of data. So unfortunately, that's what really popped the optimism, because leading into today, for the last just shy of a week, we've had FOMO in the market, and a lot of that had to do with optimism associated to potentially a rate cut. So Powell did virtually pop that today. I know Trump was going at Powell quite significantly throughout the day, and in my opinion, kind of rightfully so. I kind of was on Powell's side a little bit, because yeah, the economy is strong and usually that doesn't justify any rate cuts, but given every single country is like pretty much of the G7 cutting rates, and even a lot of European countries, that is going to really affect the states with trade, which is kind of Trump's big thing. So by Powell not really cutting rates, it is really going to hurt the states more and more. So that's just a little bit two steps ahead of obviously what people normally think about, but still it was rather comical. Because of all that though, you actually did see a rotation. So a lot of growth stocks, of course, with the optimism kind of diminishing for rate cuts, you had a rotation. So big money was starting to buy defensive stocks and also heavy dividend payers. So yeah, I think that's what ultimately did happen today. In my opinion, do I think that that rotation is going to last? No. Not whatsoever. I think it's just going to be a 1 or 2 day type of event, and then we will get back to kind of moving higher. And one thing that does historically cause SoFi to FOMO is earnings. So I did a video, I feel like it was almost 3 months ago, where I analyzed 2 years worth of data. So I analyzed the day that SoFi announces the earnings compared to the day of their earnings. And on average, over the last 2 years, it was roughly 17% in the green. So I'll kind of look back at my videos and I'll put that in the description below for those of you that are interested. But SoFi did announce the date of their Q2 earnings being July the 29th. So essentially, if you want to, again, refer to what I mentioned, the clock does start now. So historically, about on average 17% in the green leading into the earnings. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see how that does all play out. But today was a pretty interesting day. Good to see that big money was still buying up SoFi, despite algorithmic trading really suppressing majority of the growth stocks. So on the secondary market, you saw still a lot of big transactions. Even first thing, 14.1, 1.1 million right there. And a lot of that is what really pushed it to kind of the highs. And then you had Powell. Again, you had strings of selling, and pretty much after that, a lot more selling throughout the day. Shorts didn't really do all that much, which is rather surprising. I would have anticipated them to jump all over kind of the grayness of Powell and the data points. So they did increase 58,000 shares today. 13.79% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 149.62 million shares overall are being shorted. Cost per minimum still negative, so that does mean that there's some brokers out there paying people to short SoFi. It's not significant because these are annual rates, so it is negative 0.07. So obviously that's less than a cent a day. Like, it's absolutely nothing, but still I think it's the principle behind the scenes. But aside from shorts though, looking at options, 39 million in calls, 8.62 million in puts. So still a lot of money was getting into SoFi, both through common stock and as well through options. One thing to take note of though is yesterday we had a huge amount of volume through options, but majority was bearish. Today kind of was the opposite. So you have 45% being bullish in nature. So definitely good to see as far as that. And just yesterday though, I don't think anything compares to yesterday's volume, 153 million. So definitely interesting stuff to see. And so yeah, unfortunately today does break the green trend, so it was green for 6 consecutive days. So I think just generally, given what SoFi did have and what obviously was going back and forth between, let's say, Elon and also Trump today, it just caused a lot of uncertainty in the market. So I think today was more of a pullback, and honestly nothing really wrong with that. Some people were starting to freak out on social media saying that this is the start of something big. I kind of beg to differ. I don't really think today was that much. Any stock running up as much as SoFi and the broader market has over the last 1 month, you're going to have a certain level of kind of profit taking at some stages. So today, or I guess over the last 1 month, still up 34.04%. Moving back over to the options though, bulls are kind of still anticipating for it to be roughly around that $19 to $20 range, and then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub $17.50 to $17. So given where it did close, there's a lot more upside still anticipated. And one thing to take note of though, so the market does close on Thursday, or ends on Thursday, because Friday the market's closed. This is the open interest, so just kind of take note of that. You have 27,000 at that 20, 18,000 at the 19, 9,000, 1850, 10,000 at 18, and so forth and so forth. So yeah, still I think if SoFi for whatever reason is able to close at least above 18, that would be pretty good for the following week. So you might see another corresponding kind of push higher come the following Monday. So just watch for that $18 range ultimately. But aside from all that fun stuff, with it closing at 1764, it is trading between this R2 and this R1. 1754 is going to be a strong support, and then followed by 1644. So dependent on the data that's coming out tomorrow and everything. So tomorrow we only have ADP employment, but that could really reconfirm what kind of Powell mentioned. So depending on how that does play out, you could see maybe the market get a little bit more volatile possibly. Flip side, 1822 and then 1932 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points. But aside from all that fun stuff, there wasn't any new analyst ratings. With SoFi announcing the date of their earnings, just anticipate probably 4 new ratings leading into the earnings. So yeah, so it's doesn't make sense as per usual, but that's always what does happen. So a lot of the bearish analysts, such as Tim, Jeffrey, Morgan Stanley, it's been a while since we've heard from them. Giuliano with Compass Point, definitely it's been a long time since we've heard from them. So maybe they might come back and give $6 sell ratings as per usual, causing a little bit more of a pullback leading into the earnings. So again, just be somewhat aware of that. No new analysts or articles coming out or anything. So yeah, it's just going to be piggybacking off the broader market for the next little bit, and as well its own technicals. So on the actual chart itself, it's above all the key pivotal moving averages, but as a disclaimer, as I've kind of been mentioning, it is very overbought, as well as the majority of the market. So this is why the first sign of weakness, which we did get some first thing, this is why you had some pullback. So potentially tomorrow with ADP and possibly even with the rest of the data points for the rest of the week, this is where you could see a lot of volatility. But still on the actual chart itself, things are looking pretty a-okay still. So it could still consolidate a good probably another like 10% in reality before you start to really panic. So let me know your thoughts on SoFi. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. Give yourself a shout out if you did buy, if you sold. what did you kind of do? I know a lot of people might have been panicking from what I can see on social media, saying that this is kind of the beginning of the end. I think just people are being way too overly dramatic a little bit. But still, you never know. Someone might have bought in at the high yesterday, at the all-time high, so they might be down a significant amount. Everyone has their different circumstances. It's all about timing, right? Even when it's selling off and was at $9 in April, like nobody knew. It could have easily went down to 5. Still, I think the best way to do and play SoFi is dollar cost averaging, as I've kind of mentioned in the past. But you guys do whatever floats your boat. One final thing, I just wanted to say Happy Canada Day to all the Canadians out there. Have a good time and all the other fun jazz. And then pop over to my Discord. It is completely free. Link in the description below. With all that said, you guys have a good rest of the night.